Hello, Scorpio love. If you've made it here, your spirit already knows what your mind may still be questioning. The connection isn't over. Not really. That one person, the one you tried so hard to forget, to cut cords with, to outgrow, is still tied to you in a way that defies logic. Not because you're weak, not because you haven't healed, but because something about the two of you was never meant to follow ordinary rules. This isn't a simple love story. This is something else entirely, a bond written beyond this lifetime, a mirror held up to your deepest self. They're still there. Scorpio, still feeling you, still haunted by the sound of your silence and the weight of what they lost. You didn't just cross paths for a lesson or a season. You collided at the soul level. You cracked open something in them that was buried under years of numbness, detachment, and denial. And while they may have run into someone else's arms, into distraction, into ego, the truth is, they never escaped what you stirred. That third party, it was never love. It was an escape route, a placeholder, but nothing replaces what was real. Nothing fills the space you left behind. And now, that illusion is collapsing. This is a twin flame connection. Scorpio, messy, intense, transformative, the kind that forces both of you to shed everything false before you can meet again. And you've already done the shedding. You walked through the fire, faced your own shadow, chose yourself even when it hurt. You stopped reaching. You stopped explaining. And in that stillness, you became the most magnetic version of yourself. That's what's pulling them back now. Not desperation. Not longing. Power. Your power. They're going through it. Too. Quietly. Privately. Painfully. Spirit has pulled the rug out from under them. The comfort they once clung to, the third party. The avoidance. The fear it's no longer enough. And for the first time, they're beginning to imagine something lasting. Not a fantasy. A home. With you. Not because it's convenient, but because their soul is tired of pretending. Tired of hiding. And you're the only one who ever saw through all of it. But Scorpio, you are not meant to wait. You are meant to trust. The love you gave was never wasted. It planted seeds. They are only now beginning to water. And while you may not see their growth yet, it's happening. Slowly, awkwardly, but surely. They're waking up to who you are, to who they are, to what this has always been. And if they return, it won't be in pieces. It won't be for comfort. It will be because they finally chose growth, chose truth, chose you. You're not imagining the signs, the dreams, the songs, the waves of emotion that crash through you out of nowhere. That's them. That's the energetic tether still pulsing between you two. No matter how far apart the human forms may be. But remember this, you don't need to chase to be chosen. You don't need to suffer to be loved. You are not here to wait at the edge of someone's healing. You are here to rise and to be met. And when they're ready to meet you there, you'll feel it. Until then, hold your ground, hold your magic, and let the universe finish what your soul already began. And yes, Scorpio, the connection is still alive, alive in a way that doesn't need words, presence, or proof. It's alive in the way your body tightens when their name crosses your thoughts, in the way certain songs seem to echo their energy, in the way your dreams feel more like memories than fiction. This is not your imagination. This is energetic truth. The bond between you and this person hasn't faded. It's shifted forms. Yes. But it remains intact beneath the surface. Like an invisible current pulling you both towards something unfinished. Something sacred. The space between you is not absence. It's preparation. And even now, across timelines, across silence, your souls are still speaking. Because you were never just a chapter in their life. You were the crack in the armor. The one who didn't flinch when they exposed their brokenness. You loved them without an agenda. Without trying to fix or possess. And that's exactly what shook them. They've never been loved like that before, not truly. Not with depth. Not with soul. Your presence didn't demand. It revealed. You became the mirror they couldn't look away from. And while that scared them, it also awakened them. Slowly, brutally, beautifully. You didn't just touch their heart. You unearthed the very shadows they've been hiding from their entire life. You, Scorpio, were the spiritual catalyst, the one who walked into their life and stirred the dormant truth. You reminded them without saying it that they could be more, feel more, heal more. And that kind of reminder doesn't leave quietly. It lingers. It burns. It transforms. Whether they accepted it or rejected it in the moment doesn't change the fact that your love was the spark that started a wildfire inside of them. And now, in the quiet moments they never talk about, they're facing that fire. They're sitting with the guilt, the regret, the recognition that they weren't ready when you were, that they couldn't hold the kind of love you offered. Not yet. But here's what you must remember. Their silence doesn't mean they've forgotten. Their distance doesn't mean they're free. If anything, it means they're finally beginning to understand what you saw in them all along. And as they unravel, you must continue to rise, not to teach them a lesson, not to prove a point, but because your soul deserves that elevation. And in your rising, they feel the call. They feel what they've lost. And more importantly, what they're being called to become if they want to find their way back. This isn't over, Scorpio, but it also isn't yours to chase. You did your part. You showed up in love. You awakened something eternal. And now it's time to let spirit handle the rest. What's meant for you is never truly gone. It's just finding its way through the dark. And you've always been the light waiting on the other side. They didn't leave because they stopped caring. Scorpio, they ran because the intensity of what they felt with you cracked open parts of them they had spent years burying. You didn't just love them, you saw them. Completely, without armor, without performance, without the false self they built to survive. And for someone who has built their identity on control, on detachment, on appearing strong even when they're breaking inside, being seen like that felt unbearable. Your love was never the problem. It was the clarity that came with it. The way your presence exposed the pain they hadn't healed. The lies they'd told themselves. The versions of their life that were never aligned to begin with. And so they ran not away from you, but from the version of themselves they weren't ready to meet. But the thing about running is it doesn't make the truth disappear. It only delays the reckoning. And now, they're in it. Deep. Life has started stripping away everything they once used to avoid the truth. Their comfort zones are breaking down. The third-party distractions, the false stability, the emotional hiding places, they're no longer working. Spirit has entered the room. And when spirit moves, nothing shallow survives. They're facing breakdowns in their external world that mirror the collapse already happening within. Financial instability, emotional exhaustion, identity confusion, all of it is surfacing not to punish them, but to purify, to make space for something real, for something lasting. For you, they're being asked to choose, not just between you and someone else, but between fear and growth, between the past that numbed them and the future that calls them to feel everything. This transformation isn't graceful. It's not romantic. It's raw. It's nights of questioning everything. It's facing the mirror and no longer recognizing the person staring back. But even in that chaos, they're beginning to understand that it was never about losing you. It was about becoming someone worthy of the kind of love you gave so freely. And that's the hardest part for them now. Not the longing, not the regret, but the realization that when they left, they didn't just walk away from love, they walked away from their own healing. From the very person who could see their worth beneath the wounds. And now they know, deep in their bones, that, if they ever want to stand beside you again, it can't be as the version of themselves that left. It has to be as someone reborn, someone honest, someone who no longer needs to run. So let them fall. Scorpio, let the tower crumble. Let the silence stretch. Because what's happening now is sacred. It's not punishment. It's preparation. And when they return, and yes, Spirit says they will, it won't be with excuses. It will be with eyes wide open. With a heart that finally understands what you knew all along, that this wasn't just another relationship. This was destiny. And it was never meant to be lived in half-truths. It was always meant to be lived in full. And now, Scorpio, this is where the real power lies, not in the waiting, not in the longing, but in the stillness you've cultivated, in the way you've chosen to stand rooted in your truth, even as the silence stretched longer than you thought you could bear. You may not see it on the surface, but your decision to stop chasing, to stop explaining, to stop pouring into someone who wasn't ready to receive, that is what changed everything. Your absence is not empty. It's loud. It echoes in places they didn't even know were hollow until you walked away. And it's in that echo that they are being remade. You don't need to beg. Scorpio, you never did. The universe has been watching you hold your own. And your soul has been speaking louder in silence than any words ever could. There is a sacred kind of magnetism in someone who loves without attachment, who releases without resentment, and who trusts that what is meant for them will not pass them by. That's who you are now. You are not just the lover they remember, you are the Empress energy they're being summoned to rise toward. And make no mistake, the Empress doesn't chase. She attracts. She doesn't plead. She holds space. She doesn't shrink herself to soothe another's fear. She shines so brightly that only those willing to meet her in the light will stay. That's what you've become. And that's exactly why this person feels the pull stronger now than ever before. Not because you're giving them attention, but because you've given yourself back to yourself. The message from the universe is clear. The reunion is not just possible, it's written. But it is not your burden to make it happen. You've already done your part. You cracked them open. Then let them go. You triggered the collapse. Then stepped aside. Now it's their turn to rise. And the more you stay in your worth, the more you pour into your own healing, your own joy, that your own magic, the louder that call becomes in their soul. You are not here to drag someone into alignment. You are here to hold the frequency of truth so steadily that it becomes a lighthouse in their storm. So yes, Scorpio, the reconciliation will come, but only if you remain devoted to your own wholeness. That is your task now. To stay grounded, to stay sovereign, to know that your love never needed to be proven to be real. It was always real. It was always enough. And now it's time to let that love turn inward. Let it rebuild you. Let it elevate you. And trust that when they come, and they will, it won't be because you pulled them in. It will be because your energy left them no choice but to evolve. That is what divine love does. It doesn't demand. It transforms. So, if you're still holding your breath, Scorpio, let it go. Let this be the moment you exhale, not because they've returned, but because you have. To yourself, to your strength, to the truth that you were never meant to chase what is already destined to find you. You didn't lose them. You led them back to themselves. And now, your only task is to keep walking in your light. Without shrinking, without waiting, without questioning your worth. The universe doesn't need you to force the outcome. It just needs you to stay in alignment. Because the timing is divine. And the reunion, if it's meant, is sacred. They're not choosing you because you begged. They're choosing you because, in your silence, they finally heard what your love always whispered. I don't need to be needed. I need to be met. End of teen. And when they return, it will not be as a wanderer seeking comfort. It will be as a soul finally ready to stand beside the one who never stopped believing. Until then, Scorpio, keep choosing yourself. Over and over. That is how the story writes its ending. Or perhaps, its new beginning.